Hey guys, it's COREROSS and 116 News. Today we have a Shield Guard update for Season 3. So essentially what this is their quarterly report on anti-cheat. So we'll see what they're going to be doing going forward. So their plan of action and stuff like that, what they're trying to address. And of course, things like actual numbers. So we can see how much stuff is being banned and where. So let's jump into this today. We'll start with the overview, and of course, if you want to actually read this yourself, there will be a link in the description below that'll go to this blog post. So first of all, the first paragraph here is basically just saying that they're looking to try and keep the game competitive as possible, and use usual kind of opening paragraph for any blog post like this from essentially any game out there. But their second paragraph actually starts to go into details on things they're looking to do. So first of all, they're looking to double their updates for Shield Guard. So their Shield Guard, I've seen a lot of people get confused with this over the course of this year when they did the rebranding for this. They did the rebrand for it quite close to CJX as well. So essentially, Shield Guard is just a fancy name for all the anti-cheat stuff in Rainbow Six Siege. So that'd be Battle Eye, Mousetrap, QB updates, kind of like machine learning, whatever goes into the game to try and reduce cheater numbers. That is all Shield Guard. And then the second sentence here is extremely interesting. Secondly, to help us develop the necessary improvements more quickly, we're working to share technology with partners across the industry. The R6 Shield Guard team is also continuing to expand to accelerate future updates. So that's very interesting. Obviously, they're looking to actually hire more people, and be noted, those people with those skills are not cheap. But this one here, share technology with partners across your industry, that means other game companies. And I would imagine, like, for example, there's been an explosion of trying to go after mouse and keyboard players on different platforms with different success in different games. And each of those games has developed their own unique solution. So it looks like they're potentially all coming together to try and deal with this issue together. And as a result, that might mean that overall they'll be able to refine it. Because one of the big issues with, say, Mousetrap is the false positives. If all these game companies can come together, refine it to where it's almost perfect, then it becomes much easier to deal with. So I'm quite interested in that. Of course, though, we haven't seen any announcement of such a partnership, and I'm assuming that maybe in the near future we will see that kind of announcement. Anyway, let's move on to the plan of action. So as before, they talk about the more updates in Season 4. As they say here, the R6 Shield Guard updates always come with patches and hotfixes to the game. Of course, if you want to update something in the game, you need to be a patch or hotfix, and as a result, that's when the anti-cheat gets updated whenever there is an update. But next season, in Season 4, this will be changing. Starting next season, they'll be doubling how often these R6 updates are pushed to the game, distributing cheat makers more than ever before. So this will most likely mean more patches and hotfixes, of course, to add those updates to the game that won't come with actually any changes. They'll be getting released with just probably the Shield Guard updates inside them. That'll mean more downloads than usual, but it will hopefully disrupt the cheat makers more. They're also targeting high-profile cheats. So our team has targeted high-profile cheat makers and are seeing results with these efforts. R6 Shield Guard banned 1,500 cheaters using high-profile cheats. Now, I'm not exactly sure what a high-profile cheat is. I know there is high-quality cheats that can do stuff that no other cheats can. Like there's cheats that, for instance, you shoot the gun and make maverick holes in walls, and that is a very rare cheat to come across because it is extraordinarily expensive, and the cheat developer does not put out to huge amounts of people to eventually get caught. So I don't know if it's stuff like that, where it's these kind of really bespoke made cheats, or if we're talking about cheats that are potentially just the most used ones out there. So I don't know, like considering this is quite a small number, I imagine this is more of those bespoke cheats that can do stuff that others can't. They also mentioned that 2,000 other players were banned for using another single notorious cheat product. So again, depends what exactly they mean. And then they talk about disabling cheats for longer. So part of this is simply this, right? They're updating the game more often, so every update, the cheats also need to be updated. So if you're pushing out more updates to the game, there has to be more updates that then fix the cheats to work on the updated game, which just makes more work for the cheat makers. So they say, this season we've been working on increasing the impact we're having on cheat makers, keeping them offline for longer. Now, I don't know at all how long a cheat stays offline for. I think most of the time it's not very long, but obviously this season they have been trying to do stuff to make it so that they don't come back as quickly. And they say this has resulted in us keeping select cheats offline for up to 5 to 7 days, up from 1 or 2 days previously. And our target is carrying this momentum forward while we work to address the cheats that are disrupting legitimate players. And that's us now going over all the things in the plan of action. So of course, this is super vague, as all anti-cheat blogs are, because they can't really reveal much. So we get just snippets of stuff and a few things we have to basically like guess at, what exactly is a high profile cheat and stuff like that. Now moving on, we have the additional cheat types. Up first is elo trapping. If you don't know what elo trapping is, it's basically, think of it like this. You have 10 computers running 10 versions of Rainbow Six Siege all at the same time, each an individual player, and then you queue up as 2 5-stacks into ranked and you play against each other. So you are controlling the entire match and of course deciding the outcome. And of course you can just win, right? And that is the way of basically elo trapping. And a lot of people do it. So for instance, there's a chunk. So this time 36% of the top 100 console players. So that means 36 players out of those 100 were banned for elo trapping. So people love doing it and a lot of people do it. And as a result, it's one of the most obvious of cheats for players like us to look at someone's stats or stuff like that and go, well, yeah, that's guy's obviously elo trapping, plays with against the same enemy team every single time. It's simple, but for Ubisoft, it seems to be very difficult to ban that or get it under control. Or maybe it's just never been a priority, perhaps, because essentially they're not actually disrupting legitimate players. They're not cheating against someone, right? You're just going higher in a leaderboard. So it's probably not exactly the most important thing to get rid of. But you would think something like machine learning that they've gone over and talked about tons would be really good at detecting stuff like that. And then we have botting. So this is really interesting. Of course, I think most people would say this year that Rainbow Six Siege has been on a decline, but we are seeing huge numbers of bots. Now, probably because the game has gone free to play. And these bots are playing in game modes like Team Deathmatch so they can level up to reach rank requirements on a free account, and then they'll be sold to someone who will then pay for the premium version so they can go cheat in ranked with them. And essentially make an unlimited supply of accounts that can be cheated on. And they say they banned 6,000 bots this season alone. So this is an interesting thing for me because, like I say, the game seems to be less popular. So you would think something like this, because this is a business that's being run, and you would think it would be less profitable now, but there seems to be an influx of these accounts. But like I say, it might just be because the game has gone free to play. And then we have anti-recoil detection. So this is something that, of course, plagues console players a lot. And it does happen on PC as well. But I feel like on both platforms, it's gotten worse over time. And as a result, they've been looking to deal with that. And I think they initially announced this at least a year ago. And they say it still needs further development. And the main thing here is that it is complex. So they need machine learning, but not just that. They need it on a huge volume of data. So they're essentially gathering all that data, maybe over the last 12 months or more, and then they're putting it through machine learning to, hopefully figure it out and then build a system from it. So this is kind of like basically making Mousetrap. So it's going to be a pain in the ass, but hopefully this gets to the point where it'll be one day really good. But like Mousetrap, it'll probably need a lot of time to ramp up to the point of where it's good. And that brings us to the end of another section. So that was the addressing additional cheat types. So this is one of those things where it doesn't really impact players. It's just people getting higher in leaderboards, but it feels like this should be a machine learning fix quite easily. And they're obviously not, not able to actually do that easily. Then botting, again, you watch the bots in Team Deathmatch, they're just randomly moving around and shooting and stuff. They never get kills. And you would think, again, machine learning should kind of be able to fix this. And I would say the botters right now are very much winning here. And then anti-recoil detection, considering there is no timeline on this whatsoever, I could imagine this might be something like a year 12 thing when it eventually shows up. So, still very far away. Then we have the permaband numbers, Battle Eye, and R6 Shield Guard. Now, this is always the one that's really hard to interpret because Obviously, BattlEye, that's detecting cheats and banning people. Then you have the other cheats. So this could be the manual cheats, it could be the data-based cheats, the machine learning-based cheats and stuff like that. And there is what looks to be a trend where BattlEye is banning less and less. Like, it has banned far less than usual. And should I be worried that BattlEye is all the way down here? That doesn't seem like a good trend. Whereas what looks like the manual bans and data stuff, and these will be banning bots as well, but that's trending up, right? We got a big trend up, and BattlEye trending down. Is BattlEye getting worse at detecting, or is there just less of those cheats out there to detect? So this is a worrying trend, I think, here. Whereas this looks like quite a good trend, but I would also say, right, back in January, had a big spike up in cheats, and BattlEye was doing its job back then. Also, the other bands too. And then it trended down, stabilized, and now we're going right back up to that same height again. But what I'd point out is this here, I think the player base was happier. There was more of us playing. And of course, my interpretation of this is extremely amateurish, but I definitely don't like this going down. I don't like this going up. And I'm definitely a little bit worried overall. So we're going to see how things go in the future. Now, they also give a little point here, which is to activate your two-factor authentication. This is because even though they are making, those bot accounts are going out and making new accounts to cheat on, there's a whole bunch of cheaters who will buy compromised accounts. So you want to have your two-factor on. And then we have a final note. So protecting players is our #1 priority. And I 100% agree with that. I think the problem obviously is that cheating is a pain in the ass to combat. It's expensive, it takes time and effort. And once the cheaters get ahead of you, I think catching up is harder. And then I'm very worried for the future when we will have one day AI cheats, which will be able to just play the entire game for you. Like the bots right now, they'll shoot randomly in the roof and stuff like that and move around. In the future, AI players will quite literally be able to play the game for you and go off and get a rank for you. And if the elo trap and it's any example of someone sitting there with 10 accounts playing by themselves in a ranked game, then I can only imagine the amount of people that will quite happily download an AI to play the game for them someday and get a rank. And yeah, I'm not looking forward to that future at all, but it is coming at some point. And they also say we'll have more to share at the Season 4 reveal panel as well. And of course, that is on November 16th. So that's the Shield Guard update for Season 3 of Year 10 and looking forward. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below and I'll catch you next time.